Welcome, gang. It is the 2027 eMLB expansion draft. We are excited for it. We'd be better if we actually had something to show you for a moment because one of our people isn't here. All right, so for those who don't know, here's what is officially taking place today. We have 75 rounds, 2 picks per round. 25 players have been protected from each team. Now, I don't know if Alex, AZ Axel, or Dishnet are still here, but we have a suggested change. This should say 4 years, but when we kept it as is, the draft order on who would be on protection list was not correct. So like, for example, St. Louis, when this was 4 years, guys like Anju Alexander and several others would not show. Because the integer that it only looks for is this one. It doesn't care about this. So because it just has a 4 on pro years, it didn't count those guys. So we had to trick the system by using a 3. Because anyone with 184 isn't going to be considered. So it was a mess. It was a mess. But we got it. We tricked it. So we've got a 25-man protected roster. Any player who has less than 4 years of service experience is protected from this. So those are automatic. So any very recent draftees, those guys are fine. No, every team will have 5 players picked from it. We're going to provide this link. That is your expansion draft tracker. Now, it's our strong belief that the game is not going to be the most helpful on telling you when a team has 5 players picked. That's it. Every team, Astros down to the Athletics, all teams will have only 5 players picked. That is a bottom line. As soon as a team has lost 5 players, everybody else is protected and the roster can breathe. So other GMs will be closely watching that. Yes, as Sean Paxler said, we're glad you're here, Attica. We're glad you're okay, Attica. I'm still pissed at you, Attica. But we're here to do a job. Let's get her done. But at the least, you have lost and forfeited your first selection. Montreal will be making the first selection. There will be more consequence, but we'll talk about that separately. All right. Is there any questions from my GMs before we start? Specifically, Attica or GT Sundown? Please tell me in chat if you are good to go. You will be making your selections in a Twitch whisper to me, no different than if you were running a ball game of the night. Again, looking for both Attica or GT Sundown to just confirm they are completely ready. Do that in the public chat so people know we are officially underway. Attica says he's ready. 1/2 done. GT. Well, he boss battled. Good to go. All right, we are officially underway. Thank God we've got about 16 minutes before the next commercial because we still got to fight those darn things. You know, my Rocky Draw still has to go to college, so we got to pay the bills somehow. All right, gang. Our first pick is officially in. And the craziest coach you know happens to join us on this day of history again. For the first time in 22 real-life years of my doing this thing called eMLB, 20 of those years here on the Out of the Park baseball game engine all the way back to Out of the Park number 5. Do the math. That's a long time. And don't forget, some versions like 6 then had a 6.5. So do the math. Continue to do the math. All right, gang. We are ready to go. Remember, 5 players per team will be taken. Each team will get 75 players in this draft. Our first selection is officially in, gang. The Montreal Expos have selected Gavin Lux, second baseman. Lux has 1 more year remaining. Now remember, both teams have a $200 million budget, and that budget needs to also pay for their payroll. They need to pay for their staff, their personnel, and the players they are picking up. So they have to be mindful about the math. We will gladly go look at each team when we need to. But the very first player is coming off of the world champions. It is second baseman Gavin Lux. Lux hit .231 this past season. He had 17 home runs and 46 RBI. Lifetime Lux is a .242 hitter with 68 home runs. We talked about Lux a lot yesterday, but JR says it right away. He's surprised that Lux is the first selection here. Again, Montreal has 2 players already. JoJo Booker, they picked up, a reliever, and Evan White, a first baseman, both picked up on waivers. Lux is their first official player that they will draft here in this draft. All right, so right away, 1 player is off on the board. And I see that the expansion draft is being updated. So again, if you're just joining us, let's pull this up. If JR, if you're here, just use exclamation EXP roughly every 5 minutes or so for anyone who happens to come in and wants to know what's going on. That draft tracker is putting down which players are being selected. Again, many thanks to Brendan McGuirk for putting that together. He is updating it as we go, and as a team is getting players filled, you'll see number of selections. Remember, once we get to 5, our 2 GMs are to cross off any player from that team. They will be unavailable because I think, I haven't tested this, I think even the Astro players will still show up there. I'm hoping they'll just suddenly vanish once the 5 players are picked, but we will see. All right. Portland now makes 2 selections. We will start with their first selection, and it is in. And they will go and select Estevan Florial from the New York Yankees. They will go and get a player who's got some salary. This is the first official Portland Stag because the Stags did not have anybody on their roster yet. So now Estevan Florial, the 29-year-old from the Dominican, has been selected. He hit .217 last year, but he had another 30-plus home run season. He now has 4 consecutive 30 home run seasons, 38 home runs, 86 RBI. Continues to be a bit of a stolen base threat. Career .242 hitter, just short of 200 career home runs. We'll see if he will later agree if how the short porch in right field, despite having 25 feet to clear it, helps him continue to hit dingers. But he's still an adequate outfielder. Don't know if he'll be more of a left fielder or center fielder as this roster gets constructed. He does have 2 years guaranteed remaining on his contract at $50 million. He can opt for a player option in 2029 for $27.5 million. So Portland right away is going to go after a player that has some cost to it. They'll draft Estevan Florial as their first selection. All right, we're officially into the second round. Portland gets their second selection here. When you are ready, Attica, go right ahead and let me know who your next pick is. I have it. And another player who got spoken about pretty regularly is Louis Guillaume from the Minnesota Twins. Guillaume, known for his defense, he won a Gold Glove back in 2022. Not known for the offense, although he did get 42 RBI this past year. He's been consistent on that. Not known for being a power guy in any way, shape, or form. Just 14 career home runs. .236 average, 14 homers, 288 RBI. He is under contract for several more seasons. He's got 3 years, under $5 million, which, based on WAR, well, if he could do more what he did in 24 and 25, that would justify the salary he gets. But again, GT gets his player back. Wait, see, Minerva's all confused. Guillaume will be signed. He's under contract 3 more seasons and has a team option in the 4th, all at the same price of $4.8 million. All right. When ready, go right ahead and send me your first of 2 selections, Ken. I think someone asked if we could identify which teams have selected who would be great, and that looks like that has been updated. So thank you, Brendan, for doing that. That is greatly appreciated. Next pick is in Les Expos. We'll go after a Cleveland Indian in Jacob Gonzalez. Gonzalez, 24 years old, from Glendora, California. We've seen him a little bit. He hasn't gotten the full ride yet in his time in the majors, his 2nd season. He is a career .249 hitter with 11 home runs, 49 runs batted in, 426 career at-bats for the left-hander. Plays pretty diverse, so he plays a lot of different positions, and maybe it is that flexibility that they were looking for in this instance. A lot of ownership on him. Good value player. He got some speed. He's shown some ability. He did have 15 stolen bases back in A+ Lynchburg ball once upon a time. Not really known to be a lights-out guy, but he is 6 for 8 in career stolen base attempts thus far. Dear Lord, everyone's going to pick on the face gen at this time. What's wrong with my face, please? Anyway, Jacob Gonzalez has been selected as the first of 2 picks here. 2nd round officially over. And when Ken is ready, he can put his 2nd pick in when he wants. Hate when it does that all of a sudden. There are times that is just suddenly staying there. Let me do it this way. Thank you for doing that, JR. I appreciate that. I will just go and announce the name right offhand. It will be Joe Olney. We talked about him. He was the first player mentioned yesterday. Chicago Cub. He is a 24-year-old, has not pitched in the majors, former 20th round draft pick back in 2022. The left-hander out of New York has been drafted here by Les Expos. He throws pretty good. He's got excellent fastball, good changeup. The changeup is probably what allows him to have the ability to swing and miss as much as done for him. As always, for power pitchers, a little bit of control problems, but he improved on that. In 2025 at A- ball, he was giving up more than 5 walks per 9 innings. He brought that down just below 4, so that is something that could continue to be developed. And again, Olney's the kind of guy that you bring in and you ask yourself, you think he's got mid-rotation, possibly even number 2 potential, maybe even a possible ace. But if you give him a 4th pitch that he's very competent on, is this a guy who suddenly turns into an ace for an expansion team? I think the likelihood is yes. Very tough move to first. He's going to keep the speediest runners very honest, and he throws hard, and he wants the ball regularly. He's just well built to be a long-term prospect. So, Joe Olney, I think a heck of a pick, because again, right now, you got full control over him for 6 full seasons. He doesn't have a salary yet. Good value pick right there as the Expos lock in 2 in a row. We'll continue round 3 now with the Portland Stags' first pick. Okay, Attica, do me a favor. I got both of your selections, but do me a favor, and I want to be formal about this. Make sure I know which one is your first selection, so I'm going to assume your first name you list is your first pick here for this particular go-around. Maybe not. Let's try it this way. We'll go look at certain positions, or at least positions I think he's at. Oh, dear Lord. See, why does it do that? What do we got? We got 5 minutes left before we've got another commercial. You know what? It is not Maury. Tom is just going to sell Maury hard today, but I don't think anybody wants to put a third of their budget in a player who hits the way he does. Spencer Torkelson is the first Stag selected here. Torque, now 27 years old, combination first baseman, corner outfielder. He is just short of his arbitration numbers. He's making $900,000 this year. He was part of the world champion Arizona Diamondbacks team back in 2023. He's played 5 seasons in the majors, 227 hitter. Again, hoping more for a 2025 type of result for Torque, where he had 20 home runs while hitting just over, or just under 280, excuse me. Picking GMs could put their primary position and their potential rating. Yeah, you know what? Thanks, Steve. I do appreciate that. Let's just play it safe. And you don't need to tell me the team. Although in this instance, everyone will figure it out by the organization that they see currently. But put the position just to make life a smidge easier for me. I'm pretty good at this, but not that good. So it would be helpful. So Torque, inexpensive again. Not expected to have a high bump up currently on arbitration. Again, he brings immense power, so he's the type of guy that, might be best suited for a DH role, but he's an inexpensive designated hitter you have control over for a while. Not a bad project to go for. Portland Stags will bring Spencer Torkelson in as their first pick. Then right away, we already know their next pick, and it will be catcher from the St. Louis Cardinals. They had 3 available. MJ Melendez will be the one selected. Just turned 28 years old yesterday. Happy birthday, MJ. You are now officially a Portland Stag. Pack up and get moving. Excellent defensive base catcher. Hits some pop. He's had 28 home runs here in the last 2 seasons. Just not known for hitting for average, as he barely hit over the Mendoza line this year. The OPS really has struggled this past season. And, well, the runners thrown out has not been stellar, but lifetime in his 5 seasons, he has thrown out around 30% of runners who have dared run on him. Still, not a bad selection if you focus on the defensive side and know that you can get the occasional bonus with the home run or 2. MJ Melendez will be selected from the St. Louis Cardinals as a Portland Stag. Looking at the board real quick. We are good. No one has more than 1 player that has been selected. We will do 1 more selection here for the moment, and then I will force a commercial break. Selection is in. And guess what? Right away, we now have 1 team that has at least 2 players that have been selected. Wally Oliver is the second player selected here by for the St. Louis Cardinals. This one is by the Expos. Oliver is a 22-year-old from Port Arthur, Texas. He was a 23rd round draft pick back in 2022. He hit .209 in Peoria A-ball last year with 18 home runs. He is graded to be a plus offensive type of player, known for a solid eye, good gap. He does hit above average for home runs. He does have some awareness of stolen bases. Maybe defense is not going to be his specialty, but again, he's got good hands. He's just not a best reader on range in regards to this, but still a good potential player that you have full control over when you're trying to bring in some projects. Again, he could grade out to be very solid. All right, Oliver's in. Next pick will be ready to go in a moment, but here is where we go. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to start round 5 here. Again, glad to have you here. It is the first ever the first ever expansion draft here for the 2027 season. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere. We are back live with the 2027 eMLB expansion draft. Kamish LB back here with you. We've got 5 rounds in thus far, and we are ready to go on to our next part of the show as we go back live Next selection is in for the Montreal Expos, and it will be a pitcher. Gene Hughes is selected by the Expos. Hughes, 23 years old. We talked about him yesterday from Peabody, Massachusetts. He got a brief cup of coffee with the Baltimore Orioles where he had a ERA north of 5 in 8 appearances. 6 were starts. But in his time playing for both the Orioles as well as the Twins in the minor leagues, this is a guy that says, I'm right on the edge. Take a chance on me, bro. Well, here he goes. He is going to go over to Montreal and see if he can show what he can do. Like Hughes as a pitcher, he did fairly okay. He was not stellar in his 1.0 days. Not known for stuff. He's a control marksman. Does more of a pitch to contact versus for swing and miss approach. Again, for a right-hander, got an incredible move over to first. So that in itself could be a plus. And again, this is a guy that masters on 3 pitches so far. We'll say good on the changeup. The fastball is plus. Slider grades out as average to decent. Could a 4th pitch be something in his arsenal that helps him be more of a possible top-end starter? Hughes is probably more middle to back end, probably likely to be a number 4 type of pitcher in his career, but we'll see. I like him as a player, and again, control is what you're looking for, so says Janet Jackson. Gene Hughes selected here in the 5th round, first selection. Now we'll go over to Portland, who have 2 picks here for the next 2 rounds. Again, that is the 2nd Minnesotan. So now 2 players from Minnesota and St. Louis have been selected. And as a reminder, as soon as any team has 5 players, no more players from that organization can be selected. We have our pick is in. And do I see him right away? I don't yet, but I do now. All right. Would you go away, please? There, that damn thing. Yadier Alvarez will be selected from the Houston Astros. The 30-year-old Cuban did not have his greatest days as a member of the Red Sox, but boy, did he serve it up and good. We are rated just north of 2 in 83-plus innings for the world champion Astros this past year. Had a whip of 1.1 and struck out 116 batters during that time. Possible closer type? Well, you might think so. Again, he is going to be a free agent. He missed by 3 days. 3 service days is how he missed becoming a free agent. So he's got $3 million. We'll see if they try to keep him as an expansion selection. Solid fastball slider combination. Excellent stuff. Again, we saw a lot of strikeouts here, but he really shone with Houston, especially this past season. Made himself available, and here you go. 30-year-old Yadier Alvarez will be part of the Portland Stags. I'm not in focus. What were you drinking last night, Billy? I was until the ad. I don't know. I'm here. Are you? Call up. All right, so we are on to the 6th round. That means Portland will pick again. Handsome as ever. Who are the 2 owners of the new teams? Coach, you were one of them, but you did not answer the bell, so what the hell's wrong with you? No, I'm kidding. Attica Online is our GM of the Portland Stags. GT Sundown moved over from Minnesota to take over the open Montreal spot when that became available. Just struggling here with my green screen in the background. All right, the pick is in. The selection is made, and the Portland Stags will bring in first baseman Michael Busch from the Baltimore Orioles. Busch, well, Bush did well enough back in 2025 when he hit north of 300. He was 311 with 16 homers and 67 runs batted in. But with a cavalcade, a convoy, a gaggle of first basemen, Bush was left exposed. And now he has been selected here by the Portland Stags under contract for 3 more seasons at a little, basically $12 million a year. You'll miss that good old boy, he says. Again, he was the kind of guy, I mean, you look in 24 and 25, his WAR was producing north of 3, which would make you think Michael Bush at $12 million was an absolute steal. Now, nothing grades out as stellar for him. He's an adequate first baseman. That's it. He pretty much is that. Exactly as a scouting accuracy says. He's average. But a Warcraft party of 1B. A raid party of first baseman in Baltimore. Yes. Oh, dear God. All right. Billy is just here to provide comic relief at my expense. I got it. All right. So, Baltimore's first player, I think, if I remember right on the expansion. Yep. Baltimore's first player has been selected, Michael Bush. You are now heading out west, sir. You are a Portland Stag. Montreal is up with 2. Both of their selections are in. And the first to be selected will be a team that has had several picked now. Matt McClendon, Big Matty Mac from the 1.0 era. McClendon has not translated to being the type of talent that we thought we were going to get. McClendon now on, what is it, his 4th team. Since joining the league at 23, he's 27 years old. 33 and 42 career record with a 4.71 ERA, only 425 strikeouts and 640 innings of work. McClendon throws your not your traditional. He throws a fastball, slider, changeup, splitter combination. Does throw for ground balls. Just hasn't translated yet. He's got great movement. He does work the ball well. He's not letting up a ridiculous amount of home runs. He allowed 11 this past year in about 110 innings, so 1 every 10 innings, roughly. But it just hasn't translated for him yet into success. Now, again, take a flyer on him at this price, $1.72 million, $1.75 million. What he did in Kansas City, that is easy a huge value. But he got traded over to Kansas City. Kansas City trades Kansas City to St. Louis. St. Louis leaves him available, and that is now the 3rd member of the Cardinals to have been selected. Matt McClendon, you are heading to Montreal. Too bad we can't re-rate based on their careers. You do that with Jim Stone, yes. Jimmy is a pretty solid contact hitter, but he is not hitting for power at all. All right, second pick is in for the Expos, and they will go after another pitcher, and no surprise here, Davy Garcia, the 27-year-old Dominican, has been selected in this instance. He was 1-7 with a 6.75 ERA. Whatever reason, he hasn't translated, and maybe it is simply the fact that a fly ball pitcher in New York at Yankee Stadium is not a good idea. Possibly. He throws great with the fastball and the curveball. He sports a changeup as well. Again, 3-pitch specialist. Is this the kind of guy that you work on adding a 4th pitch and maybe just improving his arsenal? He's under contract for 2 more seasons. He's got a player option at $11 million in a 3rd year. If you continue to see the similar production of Garcia, you got to think he'll probably take the money and run, or at least play 1 more year before he figures out where the heck he's going from there. But again, does this give him the wake-up call he needs? Maybe. We'll find out. Garcia, a great pickup. Again, if he pitches like 2024 Garcia, WAR translates to that's a great value, where he almost struck out 200 batters. So Garcia, Matt McClendon, Gene Hughes, 2 1.0ers, and Davey Garcia are the three starters in Montreal so far. You think the game removes players on teams who have hit their maximum? We'll find out, Dish. We did not do trial and error, but here is another New York Yankee. This is why the expansion draft tracker is being kept. That is the second Yankee having been selected in the draft. So we're doing that as a protection measure in case it doesn't work out. Portland now up here for their second pick in the 7th round, which means we're about 10% done this draft. All right, pitchers. I'm just going to put all pitchers on here as they give me a pitcher. There he is. Luis Pacheco from the Seattle Mariners. The Venezuelan is 27 years old. He was 2-3 with a 4.39 ERA this past year. Throws mid-90s with his pitch. This is a guy that could be a starter. He was 10-13 in the prior season in AAA Tacoma when he was a starter. 27 games appeared, 10-13 with a 4.19 ERA. It's that whip of 1.51 that might be the deterrent for Pacheco as a possible starter, because you'd like to see that far better. If he pitches like he did in 2026 and could do that in more of a starting capacity, he could be a pretty solid overall pitcher, but he'll get a fair amount of swing and miss. Works a fastball, cutter, curveball, changeup combination. Pretty competent with pretty much all those pitches. Don't know if I'd call them all out pitches or not, but he can throw pretty hard. Yeah, he doesn't also pans out as more of a neutral profile. If we take a quick peek and see where his pitches have gone, yeah, he's pretty much neutral. About 51% of balls are ground outs. So good to see on that. And the FIP suggests that he should have had a 4.33. So maybe he had a little bit of luck this past season. Pretty much average. So he good. He all right. Pacheco, again, inexpensive. You got him for a long time. Only 1 year, 21 service days so far. So a lot of control for Portland. All right. We are officially in Seattle. That was their first player, I believe. Yep. All right, we are officially into the next round. It's round 8. It's the next pick for Portland with 2 in a row. Their pick is now in. And another guy who was talked about fairly yesterday, Matt Toke from the San Francisco Giants. 39 home runs last season with 89 RBI. 220 hitter back in the time. If you get the Matt Toke that hits for that kind of power, but can hit 240 or 250 as he did in prior seasons, then that could be stellar. His career high was back in 24 with Los Angeles, but in 24 he hit 247 overall with 32 homers. Yep, that could be a pretty big masher if you give him that opportunity. He will put some dents into that new right field 25-foot wall there at the Portland Diamond Project. He's a joker, he's a smoker, he's a midnight Matt Toker. Yes, indeed. And he will do that in Portland. Again, inexpensive too, at $650,000 with one more full season before he is a possible arbitration. All right, Attica, your second. Oh, excuse me, Ken, your first pick here in the bottom of the 8th. He sure don't want to hurt no one. 3 first basemen already in Portland? Let's see. Oh, these are all DFA, aren't they? Yep. Well, we got 2 first basemen. Spencer Torkelson could count as a third. I think Torque is more likely to be a DH. All right. Pick is in. And it will be second baseman Bryce Turang from the Milwaukee Brewers. Turang just turning 27 recently. Second baseman, speedster, stole 29 out of 34 this past year while hitting 266. Might be a possible leadoff type of player here for the Les Expos. Again, they did choose another player earlier. If memory serves, we'll select that player, or if we look at the extension, they chose Gavin Lux earlier. Who knows? Where do you put Turang versus Lux? Could Turang possibly be a bit more of a third baseman process? Don't know. But I like the speed. He brings value. He is on a $15 million deal, and if he plays the full season, he is expected to be a free agent. And again, he's young. He'll just turn 27, so you got plenty of time. Might be a guy that you consider an extension for if he is willing to talk. Bryce Turang from the Milwaukee Brewers has been selected, and we are now into round number 9. And that player is in. And it's a catcher. It is Ivan Herrera, the second catcher. I psyched you out, Tom. I intended to do that on purpose. Herrera, the Panamanian from St. Louis, now the 4th Cardinal to have been selected and the 2nd catcher. You bring in JT Realmuto, and you leave your other 3 catchers completely unprotected, and they've shown some flash of vigor. Here goes the 26-year-old who hit .310. What an impressive performance he had at the end of the season. When he comes back, he has a 6-game hitting streak that he carries into the new season. Spoiler, I'm looking at a LAA catcher next. I wonder who that could be. Not Maury. Ivan Herrera, pretty impressive pedigree. He is a decent hitter. He's considered to be average to slightly above average as a catching prospect here in the majors. He did throw out 39% of runners that he faced. Can he do that over an expanded time? If he did that in maybe 3 times as many games, then that would be very impressive. Herrera, again, still in his first full official season of service time. So again, great value here. And now the 4th player off the board. So a friendly reminder, here's where the gamesmanship starts to take place in this strategy. Do you start looking at what's left on St. Louis that you absolutely want? Some names are there. I am not a FIFA legend, I assure you that, but I am absolutely a team player. That I am. So, if you're just joining us again, welcome. Glad to have you here. You're watching the first ever in 22 years of eMLB's real-life existence. You're watching the first ever expansion draft as the Montreal Expos, who were last in eMLB back in the 1.0 era, back in 2004. That is the last time that the Expos were here. We moved over to Washington when Washington entered into the majors. And here we are. We're back. The Expos are back. We love the expansion. We've got 32 teams. Hey, Robbie Ruggles is in the house. Contra Rob. Rob is a 1.0 GM. He did come along for a brief spell on 2.0. He wasn't ready for it. Plenty of other things to do, but we're glad to have him back. Good to see you, Robbie. Yes, you're watching our first ever expansion draft. Portland Stags, Montreal Expos are getting ready to go. All right, so Herrera just drafted. We've now got 2 picks here for the Portland Stags in our snake draft. A catcher is being selected, and it's the cannon from the 1.0 universe, Joe Tank. The cannon has been, I'm excited to see if he can be a bit of the 1.0 name he was. He was not a stellar offensive guy in 1.0. He was defensive driven. But here's the thing. Tank has been impressive in the time that he's been selected. He's a 270 hitter, 6 home runs, 31 runs batted in, and 344 career at-bats. But like the name says, he's defensively focused. He reminds me kind of a, I don't know, Jason Varitek. Oh my God. Pittsburgh. Mike, is it Lavalier? I think Mike Lavalier is another guy that he reminds me of in regards to what you expect. He's stingy at the plate. He's hard to strike out. He has only struck out 33 times here in 344 at-bats. Do the math. That is an impressive experience. He's been Tomoya Mori's backup. Now he's got the strong opportunity to be the long arm of the law in Portland. I like the pick. And you've got a lot of control on a young Tank. Yes, he'll be arbitration eligible next season. He's not expected to get the biggest of raises here yet, $1.1 million currently. But Tank could be a great value find and could be a healthy part of your backstop here for quite a few seasons, to be honest with you. So excited for that move. A 1.0 player I've always liked just for the name. But now the opportunity to see if he can be what we think he could be in the 2.0. You like Tank, but he's very replaceable in your opinion. Well, yeah, no, you're not wrong. But I like him more than Mori, at least from a value standpoint. I mean, we can agree on that. All right, gang. 10th round. We are getting some progress. Again, thank you to all of you for being here and watching this historic event. And thank you again, well, with the slight delays we had, thank you again to Attica Online and GT Sundown for their part, as they are the ones working the hardest. Well, you could say I'm working hard too, but they're the ones that are building these teams of the future that you will be watching here on the Fluffy Kitty Ninjas show as we go back to the regular season. And don't forget, we have Winter League right around the corner. Let me do this. Pick is in, but let me do a brief little breaking news. I don't, wait. One more time. Let's do a little bit of breaking news. Winter League will be in Korea. We will be going to Korea and playing in the Korean Baseball Organization League stadiums for Winter League play this season. Excited to do it. I've been wanting to do it, and I believe all of the stadiums are already built in. Ish? Yes? No? Maybe? I went looking a bit. What about Montreal? Korea in winter? Why not? It's out of the park. Will OOTP allow us to go overseas? Hey, we've been to Mexico, and we started Winter League in Australia, mate. Everybody came back. They had all their appendages. Nobody, lost a limb or, anything else. No alligators were in the sewers and all that good stuff. Game said we were in Montreal. Who gives a crap? Game's smoking dope, don't you know? One of them is a dome. Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Alrighty, very good. Hold on a sec. All right. Commissioner says, I am the law. Yes, that is true. All right, very good. So we are now ready for the 10th round. The pick is in. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, God damn, I wish that thing would stop doing that. Can I find him? I can. From the Tampa Rays, the Portland Stags will select J.T. Ginn. Ginn, 27 years old, from Brandon, Missouri. Missouri? Or, no, it's Mississippi. I always mix up those states in the middle. Oh, Scott pulling his John Candy impersonation. Oh, you want to? Give me some. I remember, well, Ginn played 34 appearances here in the majors this season. As long as it doesn't go to redacted, we should be okay. As long as it doesn't go to the area, the country that will not be named, or the league that shall not be named. That is officially what we must do going forward. Not a fan. Not a fan. Screw corporate law. That's my 2 cents, and I'm moving on. So Ginn hasn't shown a great credo of experience so far since 2024. ERA north of 544 innings of work, mostly in a relief role, but he can strike people out. He doesn't give up a tremendous amount of walks. His walks are 2.5 per 9 innings. been the home run ball that's been a little bit of a risk for Ginn. Again, fastball, curveball, changeup combination, throws mid, upper 90s. Could be a starter. Doesn't work out, you keep him in relief, and he should be adequate. Again, it's an expensive risk. He's on league minimum for at least 2 more seasons here before you consider looking at him as an arbitration case. So again, it's a low-risk flyer. Why not take a chance as you are building up a core? JT Ginn will be drafted by Portland with the first selection in the 10th round. On to Les Expos. And their pick is in. Do I see him? I don't see him yet. 4 more for Fluffy. Well, let me jump in and make that 3 more for Fluffy. This will be our last pick of this round before we take a commercial break. Trevor McDonald. If I can find him, if the darn filter will work. Thank you. Trevor McDonald. Selected from the Kansas City Royals, the 25-year-old right-hander. You love the ABBA reference. McDonald, 24 starts in the majors this year, 30 total appearances. He was 4-10, ERA just south of 6. Pitched 122 innings, almost had a strikeout per inning. Walks were not the issue. Did let up a bit of home runs. Again, Kauffman Stadium's not the easiest park to hit home runs in. One of those borderline guys, doesn't go deep into games, doesn't have the biggest amount of endurance, but again, is serviceable enough. Your traditional 4-pitch type of pitcher. He can get the strikeouts as he has shown. He does have decent enough control. So far in his record, the rookie, or now the second-year veteran, will be acquired here by the Expos as they continue to build up their pitching core. All right, commercial is coming. I will step aside and we will come back to continue. Starting in the 11th round of the 2027 eMLB expansion draft. Thank you for your attendance. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. The 2027 eMLB expansion draft unfolding before your eyes. Welcome back. It is the 2027 expansion draft eMLB and the Fluffy Kitty Ninjas show. Commish LB coming back here with you as we continue 11th round coverage. And our next selection is in our first pick from the Texas Rangers. Will be Pedro Dyer, drafted by the Montreal Expos. Dyer from London, England. He's English. He's British. He was a 1.0 player, played a fair amount of his time as my number 5 starter back in the 1.0 era. He was a pure power pitcher. 8th round draft pick in 2022 from LSU as he wanted to play some baseball. AAA Nashville. Product last year, ERA just north of 5. He did go 13-2 the prior year. Can strike him out, throws a solid fastball, will touch 100 regularly, even deep into games. Also works a slider and a changeup. Not one of those guys that you bring him in and you're like, would a 4th pitch make this guy better than he already is? It's the stuff you have to think about as you're making your selections, but here you go. You've got a player who's being selected with absolutely no time, no service time in the majors yet. So taking a chance on him, low risk, low cost, and a lot of control if it's just a case of letting him grow. Dyer himself just turned 23 years old last week. So again, fits well. And JR giving some kudos to Ken on his selections as he brings in the first member of the Texas Rangers. Now in the 11th round, it'll be over to Attica Online. Again, as a courtesy reminder, if you're just joining us, you're watching 75 rounds take place here between 2 teams for our first ever expansion draft. We've been running eMLB in various universes for 22 years. One thing we've never done is Major League Baseball expansion beyond what the real life majors do. Maybe we are the art imitating life. Maybe life will imitate the art very soon. As we know, Rob Douchebag Manfred, he doesn't call that a swear apparently. Or maybe he's as much of a fan as Manfred as I am. Again, we're hoping that maybe the majors will consider doing what they're seeing us do here. We ain't getting any money for it. We know that. No delusions of grandeur here. All right, on to the next selection. It is a pitcher by the Stags. Sorry, that was out loud. You know what? I'm just going to go right to it. Yeah, I knew he was a pitcher. Click. Thank you. It is going to be Travis McGregor. And I can't spell McGregor, apparently. There you go. Travis McGregor from the Baltimore Orioles will be the next selected. He is under contract for a while. McGregor played both in Toronto as well as Baltimore this year. He came in and pitched 75 innings for the O's after being traded early in the season, mid-June actually, according to right here. McGregor, 29 years old, under contract for 4 more years at $5.5 million, and then team options that fit within the 20% of $8.8 million. He is owed just under $40 million, although over 17.5 of that is not guaranteed. So $22 million of risk here for a guy who could be a starter. He pitched pretty well in the starting role, but also had some relief experience as well. McGregor once won 15 games back in 2023, 212 innings. He led the majors in 2024, pitching almost 250 innings in that time, striking out 200 guys. So McGregor's shown he can be a competent pitcher. And again, he's not a most expensive guy. Even if you look at what he did in 2026, I would say $5.5 million at a .8 WAR. I'd consider one WAR to be around $9 million right now. So he's still pitching under his price tag, or over his price tag from my point of view. $1 McGregor, that's true. There was the trade for $1 freaking dollar. McGregor from Baltimore is selected. Attica, 12th round, your pick. That's now 2 Baltimore Orioles. Yeah, if he stays as a reliever, maybe he is. But again, he's versatile enough. Not putting a timer on you guys, but hoping that especially when you have 2 picks, that you can be just a smidge quicker, because I am waiting for the second pick. Here it is. That would be great. We are going to the outfield. First selection from the Oakland Athletics will be Jamison Hanna, the former All-Star back in 2025. He's got speed. He's got excellent defense. Not an offensive dynamo, but again, he can hit the ball pretty well into the gaps. He had 30 doubles, 35 the prior season, so he can definitely be a bit of a doubles machine. The left-hander is only at $1.8 million, and his arbitration number might double that. So again, not a terrible number. He did win a Gold Glove in left field back in 2025 as well. So he's got a little bit of trophies that he will be bringing to Portland in this instance. And again, not a very expensive player here. Jamison Hanna being selected by the Portland Stags, first player out of Oakland to go to Portland. All right, Montreal has their 2 picks in. I'm going to pick one, and then we're going to do a quick view on things. Go here, carry the 1. Nope, probably do it this way. There he is, from Minnesota, Jim Sosa. Sosa, the 23-year-old, He's Dominican-born, but also a U.S. citizen. He was a 34th round draft pick back in 2021 out of Florida State. He pitched in A-ball mostly this year, 13-3 record with a 2.02 ERA. Struck out 10 batters per 9 innings that he faced. Then he played an A-plus ball, kept his ERA under 3. Throws pure smoke. Fastball, slider, changeup combination. He definitely a high energy kind of guy. If he's not ready for the majors yet, he's not far off, so not a bad idea with the 75 players you're drafting to get some guys that you can watch very closely at the high levels of your minors and see if they are as close to knocking on the door as possible. Now, scouts are kind of on the fence. They might think that he is more ready than he has shown, or at least as the Twins had given him. And this is not a knock on Jason Cleghorn, because Jason's just coming into the Twins, but with how he was managed and stepped at the lower levels still, more because it's still appropriate age-wise, maybe he was way too talented to play at those particular levels. So we'll see. It's a 50-50 on whether or not you've got a major league ready type of player here in Sosa, but we will find out soon enough. Again, another one of those guys you bring in, you got 6 years, and you've got an expensive 3 years for certain. Jim Sosa, selected by Montreal. Knock on you. Well, of course, Ken was running the Twins more, so he knows that Twins roster pretty well. He'll have more opportunity in Montreal. All right, quick check. I want to see if this thing is keeping track. So the Stags now on total staff. This is everything they brought in so far, as well as personnel they have. It says $62.8 million here currently is what has been spent. Montreal, $94.2 million total has been spent. Just so those guys can keep track on that. That is a count here as we're about 1/6 of the way through this whole draft. That's their budget before taking Machado. Jeez, are you trying to insinuate something? All right, next selection is in by Montreal. Let's go look. It is a catcher. It is not Tomoya Mori, but it's another one from the Yankees, another 1.0 player, Greg Mitchell. Mitchell was a serviceable, we'll call him serviceable at best in his 1.0 days, not known for speed. He is at least an above average catcher. So I see Mitchell more as a likely backup type of role. He'll probably play 50 to 70 games in a season. Probably more likely 50 is your preferred number with him. He hit .260 with a home run and 16 RBIs for Double-A Trenton this past season. Again, Mitchell is a patient kind of guy, and you put him in the right situation, he'll put good use to it. Yep, they did have a solid couple of backstops available, and Mitchell being one of them. So Mitchell heading to Montreal here with the 13th round first pick. All right, Attica, you've got 2. Let's start with your second pick here in the 13th round. Board should continue to be updated. Yankees and Twins now have 3 players selected. The Cardinals have 4 selected, which reminds that only 1 player is left to be selected from the St. Louis Cardinals organization overall. Attica's first pick is in. There he is. From the New York Mets, it's Joe Paulino. Paulino, the 25-year-old Dominican from Santo Domingo. Played all Triple-A this past... Oh, excuse me. He didn't play all Triple-A. He did play in the majors this year. Has a couple seasons in the majors. Played with Cleveland the prior year and the Mets this year. 181 career hitter with 3 home runs and 27 RBI. Just over a year of service time. Definite infield utility specialist, can play everywhere in the infield very competently. Not known for stellar speed, not known for massive offense. Serviceable kind of guy. And a guy that can serve many different roles. So whether or not he's in the majors or whether or not he's just the depth kind of outfield guy, a 4A kind of player, that's still to be determined with regards to Paulino. But again, he's young too, just 25 years old and very inexpensive at $650,000. He goes to Portland. We are now into the 14th round here. Next selection for Attica. All right, the pick is in. I don't know if I'll find him immediately. Let's see. Yes, I do. Cleveland's Dan Immortal. We love Dan. Dan Immortal, the 27-year-old from Sacramento, will be selected. He pitched both in Columbus as well as Cleveland this past season. He has a couple seasons of experience. He had a better one this year. He brought his ERA down by a couple of runs in this past season for the same amount of games played. 32 innings of work, 34 strikeouts. Still a bit of a hittable guy and still needs to work on control a bit as he pushed near 4 walks per 9 innings. But Mortal is, again, an inexpensive guy to go after. 4th round pick back in 2021 from Rice University. So a guy you've got control on for a while and could be a serviceable middle of the bullpen kind of guy. Don't see him as a closer. Not sure I see him as a setup guy, but definitely a guy who could eat an inning or 2 per game that you call on him and hope that he can do some good value there. So Mortal will be your first pick here in the 14th round to the Stags. The Expos have their pick in. Do I see him? Not yet. Not yet. How far down am I going? There he is from the Los Angeles Angels. It is Josh Girdley, 24-year-old left-hander from Evansville, Indiana. Guy who's got starting potential, has been used in a relief role so far. Last season with Salt Lake, he was 3-1 with a 3.26 ERA. When he was in Double-A, he served as a closer and racked up 20 saves in that time. Now, Girdley is a guy that could be a possible starter if he can work either on his secondary pitches or possibly even develop that 4th pitch. Again, a lot of strategy to consider here for your expansion teams on where do they invest that additional time and resources. Girdley was a 1.0 guy on your Yankees. Yes, he was. So Girdley selected by the Expos. We're now into the 15th round, their next selection. All right, pick is in. We're going back to the outfield here. Nope, did not mean to hit that button. There he is from the Chicago White Sox, 22-year-old Dominican Alfredo Herrera. Absolute speedster, stellar center fielder, but can play some infield in a necessary situation. Not graded for his offense yet. He was he hit below 190 this season in Double-A Birmingham, so definitely a lot of work that might be suggested to be needed on the offensive side. This could be a 4th outfielder type. This could be a potential lottery pick type. We know this. He strikes out a lot. Or at least so far he did. He had 160 strikeouts and just under 500 at-bats in Double-A Birmingham. Definitely some holes on his swing to work for, but again, Impressive speed. He will be a pest if he gets on base, and he will definitely save some value in the outfield with his type of defense. Could be an easy center field general, and maybe even better in corner outfields as well. Alfredo Herrera selected here by the Expos with their first pick of the 15th round, which means we got 2 picks for the Portland Stags now coming up. Again, thank you all for your attendance. We love having you here. You're watching history. I've been doing this for over 2 decades, and this is the first time I do an expansion draft. Our league is going from 30 teams, like the original Major League Baseball that you watch normally on TV. We are adding the Montreal Expos back, and the Portland Stags are our brand new team, Portland, Oregon for specifics. You're watching those 2 teams start to pick from each of the organizations. Pick is in for Portland. They will go from the Detroit Tigers, Carlos Rodon. Rodon was 6-11 this past season with a 4.6 ERA. He did 135 innings of work. The 33-year-old will turn 34 here in the next week after this draft is completed. He is on the hooks for a whopping $1.8 million this season. Great value pick that you can have for a guy who could eat innings, is still pretty professional. Might not be the kind of guy that will get ERAs in the 3s like he did back in Houston or in Tampa, but he is definitely a guy that has shown resiliency as he has over 1,500 innings logged on that arm, almost 1,500 strikeouts in addition. So Rodon will get his 6th organization that he will be a part of. Maybe just for 1 year, we'll find out, but the Portland Stags will go and select Rodon here. Scott, thanks for stopping by, buddy. Say hi to the missus for me, and have a great rest of your day, bud. All right, next selection, please. As we are now in the 16th round. I'm going to put a snooze on which pushes the ads out 5 minutes. So I'm going to give us a little time in the hopes that we can get to the 20th round here before the next commercial. Attica, waiting on your next pick, please. There we go. I'm just going right to the well on this one. Actually, you know what? I can just go right by name. There he is from the Texas Rangers, 22-year-old from El México, Juan Abril, left-hander. He's from Monterrey. Known for a solid fastball that can touch upper hundreds. Also throws curveball and slider, pitches that he definitely needs to work on. Pitched predominantly in Double-A Frisco this year, 83 innings of work. He worked as a closer in that instance, 33 saves in that time, and an ERA under 2. He had the smallest cup of coffee as he pitched an inning and a third. He did allow a home run with the Rangers this season, but he's got just a week of service time logged in. So Abril from the Rangers, having been selected here by the Stags. Montreal for 2 picks. Their first is in. And it will be from Houston, 26-year-old Osiris Johnson. Johnson, capable defender, not considered the best shortstop that you will find, but a guy that has proven 20-plus home run potential. He did that with Miami back in 2024. He had 240 with 22 homers and 55 RBIs, all while stealing 34 bases in that time. So we know he can steal. We know he has the ability to hit for power, even if OSA says, this guy sucks. He's a guy that is inexpensive. He's on a minor league deal. He's got 2 years before he's a free agent, and he's 26 years old, and on the early side of it, too. So he's a guy who can be serviceable. He's a captain. He's a good leader. He is a great middle infielder. Maybe he's a better second baseman than he is a shortstop. Maybe he's even a good third baseman too, possibly. But he has value, that I know. So Osiris Johnson being selected by the Montreal Expos. On to round number 17. Pick is in. And it will be Juan Wiskovich from the Minnesota Twins that will be selected. Wiskovich, 23-year-old from Santo Domingo in the Dominican. 3-pitch arsenal, fastball, slider, changeup. Probably more likely to be a starter, although he would benefit more from getting a fourth pitch. Has excellent control, or at least graded out to have excellent control. His walks per 9 is 2.5 over the last 2 seasons. Excuse me, over the last 2 seasons that he's played. He didn't have a great record in A-plus ball. He was 4-17 with a 4.71 ERA. The home runs were up a bit more than we're used to seeing from him, but still a capable possible pitcher that you could be looking at for a little, not far, but a little bit down the road for, or maybe he shows proof in Winter League and spring training that he's ready to go, and Montreal spends their money wisely here. All right. Second pick. Now for Attica has 2 picks here as we try to finish up the 17th round. We're trying to get to the at least through the 19th round before we go to commercial. We got about 7.5 minutes. There we go. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy, indeed. We going big, yo. Nolan Arenado from the Milwaukee Brewers. 54 home runs last season, 11-time Gold Glover, 10-time All-Star, former MVP. He is now going to Portland. Here's the butts in seats pick. Arenado, 3 more years at $38 million. Now the good news is the Chicago Cubs are on the hook for 45% of that. So that means Arenado is only a $20 million pick in this scenario. So there is some wiseness. If you're going to put some butts in seats and you're going to go and get a big name, why not get a guy who easily, well, now he's going to face Buster Bluth and Eric Kelly and other third basemen in the American League, where it's not as easy to win a hardware. But Nolan Arenado still mashes the ball, and could he be doing it just as well in Portland? We will find out. Arenado is no longer a Brewer. He is now a Portland Stag. Aha! GT says, well, I didn't think about retained money. Gotta look at those contracts, gang. You gotta look at those contracts. Let's look at the Stags real quick while he puts his pick together. There's Arenado. $20.9 million is officially, of the $38 million, is officially the liability on the Stags here at this point. So at this moment, they have $82.6 million of total payroll done. All right, second pick coming for the Stags here. It's the 18th pick, and it will be Zach Birdie from the Houston Astros. What is that, the 4th Astro now, I believe? Yeah, I believe it's the 4th Astro. Zach Birdie, the 31-year-old right-hander. ERA 2.64 this past season, 61 innings of work, 1.09 on the whip. He struck out 85 guys. That's a clip of 12.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. Right-hander throws an absolutely nasty fastball and an even nastier slider. That one works well away against the right-handers and comes in hard against the lefties. I think Birdie is a pretty good pick. Now again, Birdie could be a possible closer consideration here for the Stags. He might not be the most stellar, but again, a guy who's proven, at least proven over his time, that he's a capable pitcher. Again, 400, almost 500 career innings, almost 600 strikeouts, 3.65 ERA, and a world champion. So you know he knows that as well. Zach Birdie, drafted by the Stags here. 4 minutes left. We might be able to do it. On to the Expos pick, and they will go for Matt Festa, the 33-year-old from Texas. Festa, who stayed in the West most of this time, will now go east, young man. The draft board didn't pull up, did it? Let's try that again. There it is. There's the tracker. Don't know why it didn't work in your instance, Denver. Thank you for trying, though. Again, Festa, the 33-year-old from New York, will be heading to Montreal. Former closer for the Mariners there, as he had 3 straight 25 save seasons. Now pitched for Texas, had an ERA a little north of 4, so a little higher than what he has done. But 96 career saves, a mid-3 ERA, and almost getting closer to 600 strikeouts overall for Matt Festa. Again, Festa under contract for 2 seasons. Second season's a player option, so if he really has a killer year this year, then maybe he opts out. But at least he's a 1-year gamble here for Montreal. 19th pick. And all I will tell you is the reply is, let's sell some tickets. Cody Bellinger from the Los Angeles Dodgers is being selected. 44 home runs this season. That was second on the Dodgers for total home runs, only to Charlie Dillard. Now, yes, Darius McKenzie had more homers, but not all with Los Angeles. Bellinger hit just .216 this year, but he had 44 home runs. That's back-to-back 44 home run seasons. Still a capable outfielder in the corners. Might even be a better first baseman project here at this point. Still has light tower power. Where are the light towers in Montreal? Maybe he has hit the top of the dome power? I don't know. We'll find out. But Cody Bellinger, who has 2 more seasons at $30 million, could opt out. If he does not, he will stay in Montreal for at least 1 more season with a team option for a 4th. So as much as a possible $120 million gamble here for Les Expos. Cody Bellinger will be the butts in seats guy here for Montreal. 1 more pick. Let's do 1 more pick before we finish the 19th round. Can we do that? It says I got 1:15. It'll be tight. We might not be able to do much on here. Well, here's the pick, and it's a pretty good one. I like it. Connor Scott from the Indians is drafted. We talked about him yesterday. Scott, a very capable guy. He kind of got on the outside looking in after Aaron Judge's resurgence. Steroids. He's a pretty good outfielder. He's got some excellent speed. He had 23 stolen bases while hitting 17 homers back in 2024. Not known for hitting above for average. So far, he is a career 251 hitter with 48 home runs and 66 steals in that time. $1 million is his current price tag. I think that's a good value. I like Connor Scott being selected here. Guess what, gang? We got 19 rounds done here, and that means, well, we're right up against the break, so we'll come back into round 20 in a moment. You're watching the 2027 eMLB expansion draft. First time ever in eMLB history that we expand. Well, we'll expand to an unfortunate commercial break. We'll be right back. Coming back live as we get ready to start round number 20 of the first ever eMLB expansion draft between the Portland Stags and the Montreal Expos. Commish LB back here with you. Beginning 20th round, it's the Portland Stags. They will go and select Joe Brockhouse from the Los Angeles Angels. I think, what is that, our 3rd Angel? 4th Angel now? 3rd Angel, I believe, according to the tracker. Brockhouse grades as an excellent not power hitting, but an excellent hitting offensive style player. Bit more of a slasher than an actual power hitter. Not known for stellar defense, will play average to slightly above average. Fast, not stolen base fast, but a patient hitter. A responsible hitter. Well, I say patience, I should say he's going to be stingy and work the count pretty well. And he's also known for being a good gap-based hitter. He had 51 doubles in 2026 for Double A Mobile while hitting .305. So, possible maybe number 2 type hitter for a hit and run situation? Possible. Funny looking card here, huh? Well, it's also OSA scouting, so I'm not going to show you what each of the individual teams are getting for proprietary information. But the question is he really got his heart into it? I guess we'll find out as he's going to get more of an opportunity here. He has not been considered the best worker out there. We'll see. Joe Brockhouse, drafted by the Stags here in round number 20. That means 2 picks now for the Expos here. Whoops, did not mean to do that. We'll go, and they've got their pick. It will be a community-created player from the Cincinnati Reds. This was, if you remember, Love Noel. I still have her on my Facebook and social media. Charm City and Love Noel were together for a while, not anymore. Tyler Bradshaw, second baseman. Well, actually can probably play all infield positions pretty competently. Known for slight plus power hitting, decent speed, good defense, a good all-around player that does not have 1 day of service time yet. Hit .246. 7 homers, 37 RBI in AAA Louisville this past season. Again, might need a little more seasoning. We'll find out in Winter League. Tyler Bradshaw, community-created player of Love Noel, having been acquired here by the Expos. 21st round underway, and it will be another selection of a community-created player. This one will be Justin Gibbs from the Atlanta Braves. Gibbs, you know him as a man with a mic. He's got a dulcet tone, much better than mine. And I've tried to get him to help me do broadcasts from time to time. Hasn't expressed the interest yet. Got a busy, kind of had a little one here not very long ago. From Gadsden, Alabama. He was in the Atlanta Braves system. He's now been acquired here by the Expos, and probably going to get a huge opportunity here to try to be able to show what he can do in the majors. Upper 90s, will touch 100 regularly, can be a bit wild, can be a bit prone to leaving the ball up in the zone, but he's a hard worker. Throws a hard fastball, he throws a good slider, so those additional pitches up the curveball and changeup that he needs to continue to work on to probably have a better long-term career. Still, going to be 25 when the season starts, so plenty of time for Gibbs to show what he can do. He gets drafted here by the Expos. Portland Stags are up. I think we're going to get fluffy, though. Yes, no. Tom did not sign him to that contract. A former GM did. All right. Selection is in Portland. We'll go get the G-Man out of New York. Robert Gesellman. $7 million this year. Another option for $7 million, which is under team control. Gesellman with a 4 ERA for the Mets this past season and a 1.19 whip. Still a pretty serviceable all-around guy. Good control. You see the lifetime numbers, 11 seasons in the majors, all with the Mets. 493 career appearances, a 3.67 ERA, and almost 700 strikeouts in that time. He will head west and become a part of the Portland Stags. Gesellman will turn 34 next season. All right, Stags up with their second pick, which is now round 22. Pick is in. I see it. I don't see it. Da fuck. Where is you? All right, you know what? I'll just do it this way. I know him because he was originally in the Red Sox organization. Oh, wait, he still is. Brian Mata is your first Boston Red Sox player taken off the board. Only took 20-plus rounds. Yeah, that's not a good sign for Boston, apparently. Mata, the 27-year-old right-hander from Venezuela, had 8 appearances this year, ERA north of 6. He did do better last season as his ERA was mid-3s and almost 50 innings of work. Has been a little prone to control-based issues. One of those guys that you're not sure if he's really got the ability to really be a proven starter in this league. He hasn't shown it, as his ERA was 5.7 last time he was really given the chance to do that in 2023. He's been a reliever since then, so just under 200 career innings and an ERA just around 5.3, a whip north of 1.4. But he does strike out a batter every inning he's in, so you know he can blow the ball by people, and he's got a good combination. Most teams consider him to be capable of throwing all 4 of those pitches confidently. Just a matter of whether or not Brian Mata is got a future as a starter, or if he's going to stay in the relief role. Drafted by the Stags, Montreal. Next pick for you, please and thank you. We'll go to we'll go 2 more rounds here, or a round and a half. And then we'll do a quick peek on financials. Okay, pick is in. And it will be from the Miami Marlins, Daz Cameron. Daz going to be 30 years old when the season begins. He's got 1 more year at $6 million. He was a Gold Glove winner back in 2025 in right field. Still a guy who's very capable of being a pest. Not a stellar guy. He hit 259, 6 home runs, 27 RBI for the Marlins here in almost 300 at-bats this past year. He's proven to at least be capable of having a little bit of everything he can offer. Career high 12 steals for him. He's a career 252 hitter. He has some pop. He can hit in the teens for home runs if he's given a real opportunity. And again, not necessarily hit for average, but he's got the potential. He did better in his Miami days as he hit 268 in 1,000 plate appearances for the Marlins. Cameron selected. 23rd round underway. Pick is in. Just going to outright look for the player. It will be Jameer Pennant from the Seattle Mariners. Pennant, playing for the Arkansas Travelers in Double-A, was 1-3 in 6 starts there. He did pitch in A-plus ball for Modesto and really showed what he's capable of. 13-6 with a 1.82 ERA. Throws a confident fastball in the upper 90s, mid-upper 90s. Works curveball, slider, changeup, forkball. 5-pitch arsenal. Doesn't mean he's great at all 5 of them. Again, whether or not the right-hander is a starter or more capable as a future reliever with his ability to get the strikeouts down, we will definitely see. Thank you, Sean Paxlayer, gifting the sub over to Rated GDR. And GDR, that always means a gifted sub means we are again inviting you to create a community-created player here in the eMLB universe. That'll give you an opportunity to let us tell your story in situations such as this. Maybe you're a future expansion pick. Maybe you're an all-star. We'll find out, but you're welcome to join us as we would love to tell your story. If you take us in on it, then I provided the link to the Discord. There you can create your player. We've had a couple people join in the Discord again today. We hope to continue to grow and tell your story. Yep, someone's looking pretty mega. Plenty of time to build that up today. Portland is up for 2 picks here now. And Attica, don't wait on me. As soon as you know the picks are in, please put your selections in. There we go. Thank you. That is much better. I'd rather be turning right and seeing it. Here goes a Philly. We talked about him. He just got traded, and he got left exposed, and he is gone. Shervin Newton. Newton, who was traded from Baltimore over to Philly, now going to be sent to Portland. Newton in arbitration, getting a little, just under $6.2 million this year. He'll be under control for at least 2 more seasons. The switch hitting 27-year-old hit .254 this past year with 16 homers and 68 RBI. He did hit in the mid-20s for home runs with the Mets prior. It's defense that might be the question on him. He was considered a big liability over at second base, at least from a measurement standpoint. I believe his zone rating was minus 15. Yeah, minus 15 at second base this past season, which is really a challenge if you're more defensive-minded. But he is a 2-time All-Star. He is a guy that can be competent. Maybe he's more of a DH case. We'll see. Newton heading to Portland. Second pick is in. And this will be from, those are the teams with 0 taken so far. Take one off the board. JR Roberto Pena from the Pittsburgh Pirates will be the first player selected out of Pittsburgh. Pena, the 27-year-old from Pembroke Pines, Florida. Now, he's an interesting one. You could give him a shot as a hitter. He could be a designated hitter. Grades out as fairly respectable in regards to his hitting. So he's a potential 2-way player. He hit 2 homers, 17 RBI, and a .244 average for Double-A Altoona this past year. But he did pitch in the majors. He was 3-1 in 31 appearances with Milwaukee. I believe he got acquired. Oh, he was a Rule 5 pick. That's what it was. He got sent back to Milwaukee, so the game did it right in that instance. Cost you $2 million to protect an additional player. You're okay with it? Well, you're Philly. You can afford it. So Pena, the 27-year-old possible 2-way player, could work on 2 different capacities here. And again, just 93 days of service time, no salary. So if you do put him in the majors, it costs you $650,000. That's never a bad thing. All right. Next player will be in the 24th round, and it is Jorge Frassetto. He is officially the last St. Louis Cardinal to be selected. Jonathan Loaisiga, who I thought would be part of the 5, stays in St. Louis. Jorge Frassetto has been selected, and the St. Louis Cardinals have no more players that can be drafted. So now here's where the test comes. Do we see the Cardinals vanish off the boards? But we'll see. Frassetto, 22-year-old right-hander, most likely a starter. He pitched for Memphis this season, 6-3, 2.38 ERA, 90 2/3 innings of work with a whip just over 1. Impressive. He throws and keeps the ball on the ground. The slider, probably the best pitch that he has to work with. Also sports a cutter, forkball, and a changeup. Doesn't grade out phenomenally from scouting standpoint. Slightly above average with the swing and miss stuff. Probably average at best with control, and still works. struggles a bit with the movement, although he only gave up 4 home runs this past year. So I guess there's an advantage to being an extreme ground ball specialist. So with that, Jorge Fracetto selected. Now, here's my curiosity. Do we see the Cardinals anymore? Let's do it this way. Are the Cardinals gone? Yep, they're gone. Hooray. Yay for OOTP, doing OOTP good things. Cardinals are off the board. So the good news is we still want to do the tracker for reference in case that makes life easier for our GMs. But bottom line, across the board, the Cardinals, as Dynamic MLB said, they flew away. And no, Azure doesn't get any bonus points or cookies or any of that for that happening. All right. Next pick is in, and it's going to be from the Texas Rangers. Edgardo Rodriguez, just turning 26 years old. The catcher was in AAA Nashville this past year. He hit .262. He had 5 homers, 32 runs batted in. Has a pretty decent arm. Has a little bit of pop in that bat. Might not be the biggest potential for average in his time in the majors back in 2025. He hit .240. He had 4 home runs and 21 runs batted in. Tracker helps with the approaching team lockout if nothing else. Yes, everything works. All right, so 650,000, not a bad gamble on that as well. Expos, your 25th round pick is in, which means back to Attica, who just sent his pick. Might be able to find this guy by name. Yep, Mike Boggs from San Diego, a 1.0 name. A guy who, the best way for me to put his 1.0 career from what I remember, 2 decades ago, keep that in mind. Excuse me. He was a guy who had flashes in the pan of brilliance, but he was one of our better hitters in a time when pitchers still hit. So he was a pretty respectable guy. He could be a DH type. Again, you look at his contact potential on an OSA standpoint, rates at a 12, power of 8, not super stellar, but again, you get some injuries, why not? Put him in a spot of letting him be a hitter as well. Carlos Zambrano, maybe a Bumgarner type. Doesn't have the power credential of a Bumgarner, I would think. But he's 24 years old. He can throw upper 100s. He's a guy that you could work on, maybe improve his movement, maybe work on his control. Guy that could have some potential to be used in a variety of ways. So, again, he puts a little creativity in your situation. Mike Boggs from 1.0 era, now in the Stags organization for 2.0.